Hello, hello. Hey, y'all. How's everybody doing? Let me know when you come on. We're going to wait a couple moments. I know that we're supposed to start at 7, but I wanted to give everybody an opportunity to jump on. So I'm going to sit for a second, let everybody join us, and then we are going to dive right in. And dive right in. Um, cool. It's telling me I can't comment on the post right now. So hopefully, hopefully you guys can see it and you can hear me. I'm really excited to be here. Hello, hello. So it's 6:57. Got a couple more minutes before we get started. So as you come in, make sure you're saying hi to somebody, greeting somebody. You know how they say in church, greet your neighbor. We're going to get real friendly tonight. Real friendly tonight. I'm really excited about being with you all and hanging out for a little bit. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, okay, guys, hold on. Oh, wait. I see comments now. So I wasn't seeing comments. Um, so can everybody hear me? Everybody's good to go. Um, y'all, me and technology are not the best of friends. I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay. Okay. I think that we're good. So it's 7 o'clock. And I'm kind of one of those people that likes to start when I'm supposed to start and get going. So I'm going to do that. Or I can wait a minute or two. It kind of depends. So, Chastity, let me know if it's okay for me to wait a minute or two. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started in a sec. Okay. Hey, Lee. Hey, 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 hey. I'm excited. It's gonna be good tonight, guys. It's gonna be really, really good tonight. I have a couple of notes. So I'm gonna try to stay on track. I'm gonna try to do what I've been asked to do. Um, and we're gonna run with it, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I am so excited to join you all in the Women Walking in Purpose group. It is such an honor to share with you. So thank you, Chastity, for this opportunity to kind of share with your followers and your platforms. I don't take it lightly. I know that this is your baby. And so to be asked is really important. And that means that you're entrusting me with something. So my hope is that tonight I will share something that you all can receive from, that you can grow from. And that's going to kind of shift your perspective from what it's been. So, with all of that being said, I'm Petra. I'm Petra Pindar. I'm super excited. I am the CEO and founder of Petra Pindar Incorporated. It's a nonprofit that really speaks to the women of faith and business. And so it gives them a safe space to grow and learn and to cultivate the relationships that they need to catapult into success. I'm also the friendship advocate guru kind of girl. I love friendship. That's what my entire platform is about. So as much as I can help my girls, that's what I'm going to do, because I believe that friendship is the first level of discipleship. And so I take it very seriously. So anything that you'll see from me and about me is always going to be linked to the girls and to the relationships that I've built and that I'm encouraging others to build. By day, I'm an attorney. I work in employee relations. I'm married and I have 3 kiddos. And I'm always busy and doing the most, but this is truly my passion, pouring into other women and loving on them. And so I am excited for any opportunity to do that. So I think that I've covered all of the formalities. I've gotten all of that out of the way. And so we are going to dive into the topic tonight. And the topic that I have been given is recreating you. And the basic premise of that idea is starting over and giving yourself permission to shift. Or I should say, that's the premise that I'm going to come from. It is giving yourself permission to shift. And I use the word permission very strategically, because oftentimes it's we ourselves that have created these boundaries and narratives about our capabilities, or what we can or can't do, or what we should or should not have accomplished by now. But understand understand this, that it is really important for you to lean into your inevitable evolution, and that is going to be vital to your growth. Because if you are pushing away from this idea of shifting or doing things differently, you will find yourself stagnant. But that is not to say that I want you to throw yourself away. Okay. So don't think that that's what this conversation is going to be about tonight. So if you're in a position where you need to change or to shift, and that can be in your career, your relationships, your friendships, even your hairstyles, you need to move with intentionality. Hi, Lamisha. So good to see you. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. If you're ready to level up, I want you to go ahead and grab your pen, grab your notebooks, or even grab your phones and get ready to take some notes, because we are about to get into position. We're about to shift together. Okay, so if you're ready, let's get it. Y'all ready to get it? Okay, so to really lay the foundation for the discussion that I want to have with you tonight, I want to put some parameters in place about what I'm going to talk about and the direction that I'm going to go in. We're going to be talking about shifting from where we are to where we need to be. So again, this is not about throwing the old you away. It's about understanding who you are and who you're called or purposed to be. So it's really about your core. And to live a life of fulfillment and joy, we cannot be bound by this idea that our mistakes and our failures have completely negated the good or the amount of impact we will have. So this idea that all of your bad things, your failures, your mishaps, all of that, and that it needs to go away, we're not going to discuss that tonight, because I don't believe in that. I really believe that you have to learn how to accept who you are and what you are, so that you can get in a better position for impact. Okay. So if you had never been through anything or made a poor decision, or if you didn't have any flaws, you would have no real depth or the ability to apply empathy or knowledge about how to do things better. So I want to encourage you, there's always a lesson. There's always a lesson that can be learned. If you haven't realized already, in how long have we been together? 10 minutes. I am huge on shifting the way that we talk to ourselves, because what we put in us is what's going to come out of us. And if you're telling yourself that nothing about you is good, then that's what you're going to begin to produce. And that's super dangerous. And I don't want you to stay there. And I don't want to have any type of conversation that says that. So I know that this is a woman's guide to recreating yourself. But I'm a faith girl. And I told Chaz this, I am a faith girl, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to equip you to excel, not only in the natural, but in the spiritual as well. Because how many know that this isn't it? This isn't it. So your mental and your physical well-being is just as important as your spiritual well-being. So we're going to talk about all of it tonight. We're going to cover that. So we're about to get into it. So I want you to focus on three things tonight as I'm talking. And it's the first one is, what is it that you feel you have to get rid of? Okay. What is it that you feel you have to get rid of? And the second one is, why do you feel that you have to get rid of it? Why do you feel that way? And the third one is, how can you shift that idea of getting rid of something to, how can I make this a benefit for me and those in my circle of influence? How can I shift this idea of getting rid of something to, how can this be a benefit to me and those within my circle of influence? That's important. Okay. Now hold on to that. So let's start with this idea of having to get rid of something or having to change something about you. So for example, sometimes you're in a career and you're not happy. And so you're automatically jumping to this idea of, I need to run, I need to move, I need to get out of this. This is no longer good for me. I'm not getting what I need. And while that can be the case, it's not always the case, right? So sometimes we find ourselves in an uncomfortable season and we begin to equate that to a bad season. But is it really always bad? What if we begin to think of it as a season that's teaching you more about yourself and how you can better engage with others and engage with the purpose within you? What if it's that? What if the uncomfortable is not bad, but it's a growing season? What about that? How does that, have you thought about that? Have we considered that? Because I told you, I like to shift my mindset. So I speak positivity to myself, and I'm going to encourage you to do that. Everything that comes against you and everything that makes you feel like, I ain't loving it, is not against you. And it's not meant to tear you down. It's meant to grow you. It's meant to stretch you. It's meant to season you and to shift you from where you were to where you should be. It's not always bad. It may be uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. So remember this, just because something is uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that it's time to jump ship. Sometimes that just means you need to reassess how you're steering the ship. That's important. Okay. We have to shift from this thing that I got to jump. My job isn't serving me right now, so I have to jump. I have to job hop. I have to do this. My coworker is bothering me. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. I need to jump. Why are you always jumping? Why are you not instead reassessing how you are steering your ship? We get so bogged down in things that we begin to jump and we begin to try to make things happen that are not ordained for us. We try to open doors that are not ordained for us instead of sitting where we're supposed to be and learning the lessons that have been placed before us. Just because it's uncomfortable does not mean that it's bad, and it does not mean that you have to get rid of who you are in that season. It means that you have to have a better understanding of who you are and who you are supposed to bring to the table. So it's time to reassess how you are steering your ship. That's important. So I want y'all to hold that. Can y'all hold that in your pocket for me? Okay, perfect. So if God didn't tell you to shift, don't shift. If there's not some certain doors opening for you, don't try to pry them open. Okay? Leave it where it's at. We get so caught up in this idea of uncomfortable being equal to it being bad that we sometimes think we have to completely recreate or change something about where we are. But I want you to begin to lean into your season of uncomfortableness. I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm going to make it a word. I'm gonna make it a word. I'm gonna make it a word. So if it's a bad place and you're not getting what you need from it, and you are depleted, you are drained, and you do feel that God is shifting you, or that this is really not serving you, that's a different conversation. I'm not staying to say in a situation that is hurting you or causing you pain or causing you to lose sight of the bigger picture. I'm not saying that. So don't think that that's what this conversation is. That's completely different. But you have to realize that uncomfortable does not equal bad. So you being hurt is not the same thing as you being uncomfortable. You being uncomfortable is not the same thing as you being depleted. You being drained is not the same thing as you being uncomfortable. And you being in a place of toxicity is not the same as you being uncomfortable. You have to properly identify the difference between bad and uncomfortable, and if you need to shift or if you need to sit still. You need to determine that for you. Because when we're talking about recreating ourselves, we have to really determine, do you need to recreate anything, or do you need to just learn who you actually are? Because a lot of times we think that we're creating something or recreating something, and you haven't begun to really dive deep into who you are in the first place. So what are you recreating? You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're meant to do or how you're meant to do it. But because you have become uncomfortable, you begin to think that that's bad. And so you get rid of who you actually have been called to be and where you have been called to grow. I want you to be careful about doing that, because you need to remember that who you are has benefit right now. Even with your flaws, your mistakes, your poor decisions, who you are has benefit right now. You come to the table with an expertise that some of us don't have because of a situation that you've been in or been forced into. And so honestly, you don't have to get rid of some of the things that you don't like about yourself, but it's a stretching season that's going to cause you to look hard at those areas that you don't love and you don't feel comfortable with, so that you can begin to tap into that expertise. You're not going to become an expert just from holding on to something or going through something. You have to actually go through it, dissect it, and then you have to begin to strategically apply the lessons that you have learned from it. So that is how your level of expertise is revealed. So it's important for me actually, to share that with you as we dive into this idea of having to get rid of something or having to change something about ourselves. Everything that you feel is uncomfortable or unflattering about you is not necessarily something that needs to be changed. Every season that is uncomfortable for you is not necessarily one that you have to run from or pray yourself out of. Everything that is unloved by you is not unloved by God. So I'm going to just let that sit. I'm going to let that sit. I know I'm giving you guys a lot of stuff. I hope that you're taking notes. I hope that this is saved on the page so that you can kind of go back to it. I'm telling you from experience, from going through a place of wanting to completely recreate myself and be somebody completely different than I am, and God having to sit with me in that space and reminding me uncomfortable does not equal bad. It doesn't equal that. So stop saying it. Stop saying it. Okay. So now we're going to talk about some things that we have to get rid of, or things that we have to change about ourselves. And it's important that we properly identify those things, because again, you're not going to just siphon everything off of yourself. That's just not the business. Okay. That's not the business. What we're talking about getting rid of or changing something about ourselves, it needs to be done with intentionality. That means there has to be a purpose for its removal. There has to be a repurposing for its molding, right? So there has to be a purpose for its remolding. There has to be a purpose for you saying that this no longer serves me or my level or circle of influence. There has to be a purpose, which will then feed into the intentionality of the removal. It's important that you do that you realize that there's purpose, and that then is going to feed into the intentionality of the removal of whatever the issue is. So, example, let's talk about it from the angle of relationships. So you have a friend named Karen for, let's say, like 10 years, maybe even more. And you feel like your friendship is good, but there are parts of it where you're not able to show up as your authentic self. Okay. So again, you've been friends with Karen for 10 or more years, and it's a good friendship as far as you're concerned. But there are some instances where you don't feel like you can show up as your authentic self. And so that's what you want to change, this portion of the friendship that you're not able to be authentic. And it's not saying that you're a bad person. It's saying that in this particular friendship there are areas that you're not able to show up, and that's important because you need to reevaluate that. If this is your friend and you can't show up as your authentic self, then yes, that is something that you need to address, and you need to reassess how you're approaching that friendship, because you want to reevaluate it, because it's no benefit to you to hide who you are, and it's no benefit to Karen to deprive her of the person that you are, especially if you're truly friends. So when you're talking about shifting or changing something about yourself in that situation, you first have to identify why you're not able to show up as your authentic self. Like, what is it? Why am I not able to be the person that I'm called to be? What's holding you back from doing that? Why do you feel that you're not able to be all of who you're supposed to be in the friendship of over 10 plus years, or even a year, or even a week? Why are you feeling confined to hold parts of you back or parts of you in, however you want to put that? And then you need to begin to question the way that you're engaging with Karen, or whatever your friend's name is. We can say Julie if you like. So what is it that you're offering her in place of your authentic self? Okay. There's something, because remember, we're coming now from the angle of relationships or friendships about things that you actually do need to potentially change. So what is it that you're offering to Karen in place of your authentic self? What is it that you feel is better about that which you are offering her than you? Because that's the real statement, right? Because you're talking about recreating yourself or changing something about yourself. You're saying that there's something better than me as I am. So what is it that you have put in the place of yourself that you're not offering in this relationship, or you're offering in life, or you feel you need to change about yourself to show up every day as who you're called to be? What is it you've put in the place of that? I want you to think about that and write it down. Obviously you don't have to tell me, but I want you to write it down and really consider that, what you are bringing to the table that's not you, because you think it's better than you. Okay. So then you need to be also able to have a organic and transparent conversation with your friend, which is really you. If y'all haven't caught on, you're Karen. So you need to have a transparent conversation with yourself about where you are and where you hope your relationship will be. Because when you're talking about shifting something in you, it's inevitably going to shift something in your relationships with other people. Again, you're not in a silo. So if there's something that you need to recreate or change, understand that it is also going to affect your relationships and your circles of influence and everything that you touch. Everything that you touch. You're not going to just show up as your authentic self and think that it's going to go unnoticed, because honestly, that's not even what you want in the first place. Even if you never say that, you want to be able to show up as your authentic self and be recognized and acknowledged and celebrated as that person. Again, even if you never say that. And put yourself in this place of Karen, right? These are things that you're talking about recreating yourself. When you're saying you want to change something, it's because you've put something in place of who you actually are. You're saying that's better than what I'm at, where I am, or who I am, or what I have to offer. And so that means that you're really wanting people to find you and acknowledge and celebrate you. So if you're going to shift into this place of being your authentic self, you have to understand that it is also going to have a ripple effect. So again, you have to realize that this is not in a silo. That's not how this works. So whatever you do is going to affect other people. So you have to give yourself the permission to shift, but you also have to do it with intentionality. Don't just willy-nilly go doing things and think it's not going to affect other stuff. Okay? It's really important for you to do that. So once you've identified those areas, and you had that transparent conversation with Karen or with yourself, then you can really begin to dive into the idea of who else is beginning to speak that way into you, and where have you gotten that from? Like, what are you doing? How have your relationships been cultivated like that? Why are you thinking like that? Why are you connecting with people like that? So I'm challenging you to address where your relationships are in this season, especially if you're thinking about recreating yourself. You need to have people that can speak into you, that you will listen to, and that you're going to trust their voice. You trust what they're telling you because you have to be ready for their honest opinions and their responses. And it could be that they totally understand where you're coming from, or it could be, yeah, I've noticed this about you and I'm concerned because our friendship, there's a lot of things that are lacking and you've been feeding it XYZ, and you have to be prepared for that. But you also have to have open communication with your friends who can see you for who you are, which is also why you have to address if you're not able to be who you are with the friends that you have when you're talking about recreating yourself. So now that we've done that, and we've talked a little bit about relationships and how really important it is for you to connect with and be organic with those around you, most importantly, yourself, Karen, let's talk about why you feel that you have to get rid of certain things, why you have to change certain things. Let's really dive into that. Who told you that? Who's made the decision for you that what you bring to the table is not enough? Who made the decision for you that who you are is not enough? Okay, who's done that? Who told you that you're not enough? Who told you that what you bring to the table is not enough? Now, if the answer is you, I have a little project for you to go do right now, literally right now. I need for you to go grab a mirror really quick. I'm gonna give you a few seconds. Go do that. Go grab a mirror because I want to talk to you. If you've been telling yourself that you're not enough or what you bring to the table is not enough, go get your mirror, go really quick. Or you can get your phone. You can get your phone because you know you have the cameras on here, and I'll do the same thing. Get your cameras on your phone and pull it up so you can see yourself. Okay, so now if you have it in your hand, if you have the mirror in your hand, you have the phone in your hand, whatever, and it's on yourself, I want you to tell yourself, and I mean this, I really want you to begin to tell yourself this. And I want you to tell yourself this until you begin to believe it. Every day, tell yourself, who I am and what I bring is more than enough. Who I am and what I bring is more than enough. I want you to say that thing until you begin to believe it. And then even after that, to continue to reaffirm it within you. Because regardless of how flawed you think that you were created on purpose. And I can guarantee y'all, God don't make not now one mistake. Not now one mistake. So regardless of how you feel about you, it's important that tonight you begin to tap into how he feels about you. Because we're talking about recreating, we're talking about changing things, but I've already told y'all that what I'm actually talking to you about is shifting your mindset. That's what we're going to recreate. We're going to recreate the way you speak to yourself. We're going to recreate the way that you begin to sow into yourself. We're going to change all of that. Because y'all are talking about jobs and looks and all this other stuff. That stuff won't matter if you can't talk to yourself properly. It won't matter. So it's time to begin to shift or recreate your mindset. So I want you to give yourself the permission to lean into the idea that he wants you to have impact. He wants you to move with intentionality, and he created you for specific purpose. And that's not negated by any flaws or poor decisions that you may have made. It just isn't. So let that go. There is nothing about you that is bigger or more important to God than our willingness to be used by him. Nothing. So I want y'all to get out of this place of allowing your personal human limitations to have anything to do with the bigger and more impactful purpose that God has designed for you. There's nothing that you need to recreate about yourself. There's nothing that you need to shift from that has anything to do with the goodness and the clarity of God and what he's already called you to. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right. So now that I've dealt with those of y'all who talk crazy to yourselves, I want to talk to you all who have been told crazy things by others. So if you have been told by other people who you are and what you bring to the table is not enough, I want you all to go get your phones and I want y'all to delete their numbers. Go on. I'll give you a few seconds because some of y'all got a lot of people in y'all's phones y'all don't have any business talking to in the first place because they don't bring anything to the table for you. You worried about what you bring to the table for them. They don't bring nothing to the table for you. Go ahead, get your phones, delete your numbers. Delete their numbers. It's time for you all to stop talking to or engaging with people that sow seeds of discord, doubt, and disbelief into you about you. It's time out for all of that. And I use those words strategically because a lot of times we hear them used with the word or how we feel about our relationship with God. But you need to understand that your relationship with yourself is a direct reflection of your relationship with God. Your relationship with yourself, how you speak to yourself, is a direct reflection of your relationship with God. So you need to go delete those people from your phone right now. Just stop talking to them. Begin to take responsibility for those who you allow to have access to you, because you've given them permission to do things they've never had any business having permission for. Take it back. Take responsibility for those people that you've allowed to have access to you. Okay? If you haven't noticed, again, all we're talking about tonight is shifting our mindsets. I want y'all to have more than changing a job. I want you to have more than getting rid of your bestie. I want you to have more than I need to lose weight, because all of that stuff is good, but none of that stuff will stick if you don't know how to properly talk to yourself. So I want you to shift your mindset from something being wrong with you to something is right with you. I'm not perfect. At all. But I'll tell you something. I'm the same person I was as a little girl. I'm that person. My voice is just stronger. My perspective on who I am is just stronger. And I have made a conscious decision to understand that, who I am and why I am. And that requires that I take the same responsibility that I'm encouraging you to take. Everybody can't have access to you. They can't have access to you because they're going to begin to sow their own insecurities into you. And I got news for you. You ain't got enough soil for that, sis. The harvest that God has planned for you, it's already accounted for. Your acreage is already filled up. You don't have room for people's seeds of doubt, discord, and disbelief in what you got planned and what God has called you to. You ain't got room. Your acreage is accounted for. That's it. So you need to shift your mindset from allowing everyone to have access to you. And I don't care if you've known them for your entire life. Let that go. Let that go. I don't do anything based on what other people want from me. I do things because it's going to be a benefit for me and for those that are connected to me. I don't change anything about myself to suit other people. I hope you hear that. I don't change myself to suit other people, and I don't want you all to do that either. There are going to be people that are called and purpose to you that are going to celebrate who you are, but they're also going to help build you up and evolve into who you're supposed to become. And that's going to be organic. It's not something that's going to require a ton of fanfare. So you have to begin to restrict the access of people that are sowing the wrong seeds so that you can begin to welcome the people that are going to help you build your whole mansion. You have to begin to lean into the idea that you have already been created how you're supposed to be. You're already there. And you have to remember that you were known to him before you were in your mother's womb. And that means he knew you in the perfect state of being a baby with no flaws, no issues. And he knows you as an adult being real live, because I know. But he knew you anyway. And he called you purposed anyway. And he said, it is good anyway. That's what the word says. He made the creation and he called it good. He didn't say it's good, but. He didn't say it's good if. He didn't say it's good sometimes. He said it is good, period. It is good, period. So if there's something that I have to change or that you have to change, and it's going to require that you begin to change the way that you speak to yourself, it's going to require that you change the way you engage with others. It's going to require that you limit the access of others to you. You have to get into this place of incubation and not isolation. I'm talking about incubation. That means it's going to be quiet. It'll be a little bit lonely, but it's also the place where you're going to grow and you're going to be intentionally nurtured, not only by God, but by your circle. because people aren't going to have access to you, but you are going to have access to the nutritional needs that you have. You're going to have the rest that you need. You're going to have the food that you're going to need. You're going to have the activities that you need. It is incubation because it is preparing you for your next. It's not isolation. It's not pulling you away from everything and everyone. It's incubation because it's growing you. So you have to be ready for that, because you're being groomed for your next. These things that you're talking about recreating or changing, remember I said a lot of that is just you being uncomfortable because you're being stretched, which means you're being groomed, which means you're being prepared for your next. That's what it means. So you're going to have to tap into the areas that you need to begin to expound upon, and those areas that you can go ahead and quiet down. That's going to be during your incubation period. Okay, so you're not getting rid of anything. You're actually just shifting your focus. You're shifting your focus. So there's things about you that you're going to want to begin to shed some light on, those things that you're going to want to begin to build up and expound upon, like I said. But then there's also the reality that your voice is going to get stronger in those areas. But then there's some things that you are going to have to shift your focus from. So let's say they just, like your flaws or the mistakes you made last year or conscious decisions you made 10 years ago. You are just going to have to move that out of your limelight right now, because that doesn't deserve your attention. That doesn't deserve your attention. Now, we're not talking about situations where you wrong somebody and you know you need to go apologize. Go do that. Be the bigger person and move on. But if it's things that you've done and you've asked for forgiveness from God and you move forward, move forward. Stop focusing on that. It doesn't benefit you anyways. All it did was show you a weak area that you need to help build up and grow so that you can help somebody else grow in that area. But it's not necessarily something that you have to get rid of. It just means that you have to shift your focus. You have to shift from being in that space to being in your next space. I need you to catch that. You have to shift from being in that space to being in your next space. You're shifting your focus from those things that are already done, that you cannot change, that you cannot fix. And you're going to begin to shift your focus to those things that are actually purposed for you in this season. So you have to do the focusing on more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff, or what you think is the bad stuff. Remember, what you put into yourself is what you're going to put out. So those things that you feel you have not been able to attain, those connections, those blessings, or those levels, whatever it is that you feel like you have not been able to attain, a lot of times it's because of what you've allowed to stay in your heart or to seep into your heart, or that you've actually just held on to. And you have to begin to shift the focus from that. You have to begin to shift the focus from that. So I want to go ahead and talk about some practical tips. So how you're going to shift from the idea of getting rid of something about yourself and how you can turn it into a benefit for yourself and for others, those that are in your circle of influence. Okay. So the first tip I'm going to give you is the mirror challenge that we've already done. Okay. You have to learn how to speak to yourself properly. There's nothing about you that has to be thrown away. Period. Dead all of that. Hear me when I say dead all of it. There is nothing about you that has to be thrown away. You have to learn how to speak to yourself properly. He would not have created you if there was something wrong with you. He would not have called the creation of you good if there was something wrong with you. And he would not have tied himself to you by calling you his father, or you are his child and he's your father. He would not have tied himself to you in that way if you were not already good. He would not have done that. He would not have called you his child. That's not a thing, because he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that. He could have just called us the antelope and let it go. Y'all can go run around and do whatever you want to do. But he was deliberate. He created us in his image and called us his children and his heirs. So there's nothing about you that needs to be thrown away, because essentially you're saying that we need to throw something away about God. You're created in his image, right? So you can dead all of that. So The second thing is you really have to look at your circle and how you're allowing them to have access to you. That's important. So you need to surround yourself with and connect to the people who are going to celebrate you, who you are, and who will help you to build you up to where you need to be. You need to connect with the people who are celebrating who you are and will help build you up to the person that you need to be. Because your circle speaks volumes, and it will speak volumes to you, not just about you, but to you. Okay? So the girls that are closest to me, I build with them. We don't tear each other down. We don't condemn each other. We build. That's it. We build 100%. And that's how you'll actually know who's in my circle. I know a lot of people, but the people that have access to me, I build with them. I build programs with them. I build businesses with them. I build community with them. But most importantly, we build each other together. It's really important that you look at the people that you have allowed to have access to you and to speak life or death over you. It's really important because a lot of the things that you think are wrong with you is because there's somebody in your ear. There's somebody in your ear. So begin to assess your circle. Begin to do that. The third tip that I want to give you is to begin to assess where you are and where you want to be. I want you to assess where you are and where you want to be. That means you're going to need to have a running list because this is going to change. It's going to evolve. That's what we're talking about, right? It's the evolutions of how we speak to ourselves. It's the evolutions of our minds. So I want you to have an actual written list. You can do it on your notepad, your journal, or you could do it in your phone. I do mine in my phone because obviously my phone is with me all the time. I tried to have a notepad. That didn't work for me, but it may work for some of you. But I want you to actually map out where you are and where you want to be and how you can propel from this place to your next place. How can I propel from this place to my next place? And I can guarantee you that nowhere in that plan do you have to say that you need to completely dump who you are. You just don't. Not to get there organically, you don't. Not to shift your holistic self there, you don't need to get rid of who you are. You have to really begin to see what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are and help those to mesh so that your strong areas will help to hold up those weak areas. But then also you're able to tap into your group, which is who we're talking about. We already talked about your tribe, right? To tap into that group that they can help you too. These are the areas that I need help building up. These are the areas that I'm good in. I've perfected these areas, which is fine. So assess where you are and where you want to be. And number 4, when you're talking about this whole recreating yourself or shifting your mindset, you need to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. What you think is broken may actually just be an expansion of your capacity. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Do it. There is so much about you that's beautiful. There's so much about you that is one of a kind. Other people don't have that. You bring something to the table that none of us could ever do, right? You do that. That's in you. And so those things about you that you think are broken, it's really an expansion of your capacity to reach others. It's really an expansion of your circles of influence. It's really an expansion of the giftings and callings of God. It's really an expansion of your purpose. It's really an expansion of who you call yourself. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. That's all I'm going to ask. That's all I'm going to ask. Oh. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time tonight. I had so much fun. I hope I shared something that resonated with you all. And the 4 tips, I hope that y'all caught those. And again, if I talk fast, I talk really, really fast. So if you need to go back and check this, please do. I want you to take away from tonight that recreating you is really about recreating the way that you talk to yourself. Is recreating your mindset and what permission you give to others over it. Okay, it is really important that we begin to not only assess what we have, but who we are, because that's what's most important. That's what's most important. You were created on purpose. That means that there is already worth to you. There is already worth to you as you are, as you are. And so those things that you want to change, those things that you need to shift, it will come and it will be organic. But it is really, I guarantee a lot of that stuff that you don't love about you, that you think that I just got to get rid of, I have to shift from, it's just not working for me. I have to completely change. I'm not as cute as this person. I don't have as much as this person. I'm not invited to do this. I'm not on this platform, or I'm not, whatever. I'm not making this kind of money. Begin to talk to yourself differently and begin to tap into what's actually purposed for you. And you'll find that some of those things that you want are not included on your list of needs. They're not included on your list of needs. Yay! I am so excited. I had such an amazing, amazing time tonight. You guys were incredible. I'm sorry if I wasn't able to answer all of your comments. There was so much that I wanted to share with you, but it has been incredible being with you tonight. Thank you, Chastity, for an opportunity to talk to your group and to sow into Women Walking in Purpose. It has been a blessing to me, and I hope it was a blessing to each of you. And if you want to still hang out with me tonight, I actually am going to be over on my YouTube channel for Girl Chat, and I am going to be bringing on my friend Nishay, and we're going to be having some transparent and organic conversation. So if you want some extra girl time with your girl, come hang with me. And I'll be over on YouTube. But thank you all again for hanging out. I hope that it was a blessing to you. I look forward to seeing you all again, chatting with you all in the future. And more importantly, I hope to hear about how you have begun to talk to yourself properly. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful night.